whereby we have the cultures with us, we know exactly what species we are dealing with, what they are sensitive to, and accordingly we will tailor our drugs. In the case of fungi, in fact, the world over, we sometimes it is not possible, and in our setting maybe it is even lesser so. So we have to rely a lot on empirical therapy and prophylaxis to some extent. But I think if preemptive therapy tends to evolve over a period of time, maybe we will start using that more and more often. So as far as the treatment algorithm of candidemia is concerned, if you get yeast blood cultures, patient is non-neutropenic, no azole prophylaxis, you can use fluconazole if azole prophylaxis has been given. Then of course you have amphotericin, caspofungin, anidulafungin. They are all options that we can use. In neutropenic patients, of course, in patients of severe sepsis and shock, you can use echinocandins like anidulafungin and caspofungin. As far as aspergillosis is concerned, the primary therapy upfront once you get the aspergillus growing in the blood culture could be voriconazole. And in refractory disease, of course, we can use other therapies like echinocandins and amphotericin B, but the drug of choice here would be voriconazole. And combination therapies can also be used in very critically ill patients. So the take-home message that I would like to give is that invasive fungal infections are very important. We generally pay very little attention to them, but their incidence has been increasing. The two common ones being Candida and Aspergillus. The incidence of non-albicans Candida is rising sharply, and that puts the azoles in a spot because most of the non-albicans, a lot of these non-albicans Candida are not sensitive to azoles. So we have to be careful about what we administer, particularly to seriously ill patients. And the scientific use of antifungals can help in reducing morbidity and mortality. Thank you all for your patience.